Diamonds are forever.
So far we've discussed a lot of the what and the how of the daemon, but we haven't really discussed the why, as in, why would somebody want to make contact with their daimon? Why would somebody want something to lead them to the highest version of themselves? And some of that may seem obvious, but let's talk about it. And to talk about it, I want to use All-Star Superman, which was a comic put out by DC Comics like 15 years ago. It's written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Frank Quitely. Grant Morrison is a comic writer, but he's also a chaos magician, and he's very esoteric minded. And this is, I don't know if you're a Superman person or a comic book person or not, this is, to my mind, one of the, definitely the greatest Superman story I have ever read, and one of the greatest comics I've ever read. But let's talk about why I think it has something to say to us about the daimon. Superman, I believe, is a metaphor for all of us, in the sense that he was raised to believe that he was human, but then at a certain point he discovered he had a kind of divine heritage. He came from another place, and when he discovered that, he also discovered he had abilities that were kind of born out of that heritage. And I believe that's the way we are. We all kind of grow up thinking we're just one of the herd, we're normal. But I believe we have a divine spark in us. And if we pursue that divine spark, we discover latent abilities in ourselves, skills and talents and proclivities that have the potential, just like Superman's power, to really help people and to really change the world. And so in this story, the story begins with Superman on a mission to the sun. And if you know anything about Superman, his powers come from the sun. His cells absorb solar radiation, and that's where his powers come from. Beyond that, an explanation of the science is, it's comic book science. But when he goes on this mission to the sun and he gets so close to the sun, his cells get supercharged with solar radiation. And so two things happen. Once he kind of gets super cancer, and so he has a limited time to live. He finds out as the story goes, but he also gets a supercharge of powers. He gets some new powers from that, but then also everything that he already is becomes increased. And so you might look at that and think, oh, okay, well, he's super strong, he gets super stronger. He's super fast, he gets super faster. And yes, those things are true. But I think it's the second issue, he's talking to Lois Lane. You probably recognize the name Lois Lane, it's his girlfriend. And he's describing the changes he's gone through after coming into contact with the solar energy. And it's not just that his powers have gotten stronger, like he's gotten more curious, he's gotten more interested in things, he's gotten more energy around the things he does. And to me, that's a really interesting way to think about what would happen to somebody if they became what they are plus. Yes, you have skills that would increase, you have talents that would increase, but also you'd become more curious about other people and about the world and the way things work. And think about what that increased curiosity could do for the way that you interact with people in the world. And so I believe when we come into contact with divinity, with the source of our powers through our daemon, one of the changes is we become more curious, we become more interested in people in the world. The amount of energy we have to pursue the things that we find important increases. And towards the end of the series, I think in the last issue, Superman's having this battle with Lex Luthor, his archenemy, and Luthor tricks Superman, and he does something that lets Lex Luthor have Superman's powers for a little while. And so Lex Luthor imagines, well, I'll have strength, I'll be able to fly, I'll be invulnerable. And so that's the stuff he's counting on. But what he doesn't count on is when he has Superman's powers, he also starts to see the world the way Superman does. And we don't think about like how you would see the world if you were this elevated, superior being. And so Lex Luthor all of a sudden starts seeing that we're all connected. Everybody who's alive, everybody on the planet, we're all connected, and we're all we have. And so he becomes less interested in schemes and villainy because he kind of realizes what Superman realizes, is that we've got limited time to lift each other up and to help each other. And I think that's the other thing that happens when we become the superior, elevated version of ourselves. Our curiosity doesn't just increase, our energy just doesn't increase, also our compassion increases. Our ability to see ourselves and other people increases. And you know, it may seem silly to some people to talk about Superman in relation to that stuff, but I think Grant Morrison, esoteric thinker that he is, I don't think he was necessarily telling a story about the daemon and demonic influences, but I think he was telling a story about what happens when we become a higher version of ourselves. We don't just elevate around our skills and our physicality or our brain power, but also our compassion, our curiosity, our energy for improving the world. So anyway, so that to me is a why. That's why you want to find this thing to lead you towards the highest version of yourself, so that you can make a more meaningful impact on everyone around you.